welcome to the second of our Suzerain mini painting stream. So last week we worked on a character miniature. We painted up Malthus, who came out pretty good. I was very pleased with him, as was the... Hello! As was the person whose character we painted the miniature up as. He was very pleased with it too. And this week we are working on a lava beetle, which I have primed, and I've actually sprayed with Turbo Dork Colour Shift paints. If I brighten it up a little bit, there we go. To give it a nice iridescent carapace. It's not quite matching the artwork, but variety's the spice of Suzerain life, right? So, I'm going to start putting down some base colours, and maybe MMK Suzerain can tell us a little bit more about a lava beetle, because I think that would be pretty cool. So how is everybody, by the way? Alright. Very quiet. Okay. That's I can adjust moving the microphone, and I'll turn the sensitivity up a little bit. Is that better? I can speak a bit louder as well. The black glossiness. It's this one. It's called Molten Mantle, and it's like a purple goldish shift, I think. Like a reddish purple to a reddish gold shift. So it's quite a dark one. But it covered really well on the beetle. But this is a heavily modified miniature as well. Is the volume better, iZombie? There are lots of types of beetle in the world, and they can all get corrupted by the elemental powers of Tempest. Ooh. Those evil Tempest powers, they're always looking for a new critter to make their own. Selfish creatures. Selfish power-hogging creatures. Elements, maybe? Elements is probably a better term than creatures. Ah, the one you wanted for the robot. I can't remember which one the robot got. Oh, the robot got Shockwave. Right. So, the underside of the beetle on the art is, well, brown. So, I'm going to paint the underside brown. It'll also make the upper carapace stand out more if I go with a nice medium brown. And then the shift will come out more as well. I'm going to need more paint than that. With a lava beetle, you get to apply the insect template and the elemental template at the same time for extra fun. That's... wow. That sounds like something you possibly don't want to encounter, really. Or possibly you just need a bucket of water. Works in Minecraft. I'm not sure it's going to save you in Suzerain. Wits and teamwork. It does sound fun. Hopefully not too many spoilers for people either. But definitely a source of some excellent ideas for what game masters can throw at their unsuspecting party. And when the heroes kill one, you can have a necromancer find it and apply the undead template on top of all that. Oh gosh. Undead elemental beetle. Whew. That does not sound safe. That's why they have guns, right? Health and safety. Mostly safety. Hello, Mechanicus! Thank you very much for dropping in. How are you doing this weekend? And thank you for the compliment. I have actually turbo-dorked this thing and massively modified it from its original form. Believe it or not, this was a Reaper Miniatures Rhino Beetle. Giant Rhino Beetle. Before I added all of the spikes on the back, some on the head. It had these horns initially. And I took off the big, iconic Rhino Beetle horn and inverted it to make this proboscis looking thing, in an effort to make it match the artwork a bit more. But this is a bug you can encounter in the Suzerain setting. So MMK was just telling us a little bit more about it. And it sounds like a pretty a day of pampering. Thank you very much, MMK. It took quite a while. You kind of have to do it in stages, otherwise you end up squashing all your own work. So it's like you have to do a bit, leave it to set for 3 or 4 hours, do a bit more. If you've modified it yourself, you've probably voided your Beetle warranty. Yeah. I think I've had the Beetle long enough that it was past its warranty date anyway. We're doing pretty good as well, thank you, Mechanicus. It's nice to hear that you've had a good day of pampering. I mean, you do seem to work quite hard with snakes. Except for the cuddly cobra. Right, paint its feet in the brown as well. Cuddly cobra. I might have to have that as a quote. I don't have any quotes set up, but now I need to add some. Oh, that's a thought as well, MMK. We could... I zombie you. We could set up some quotes as well for the stream, if you fancied doing that. They don't have to be quotes per se, but they could be little nuggets of information. That is a system that we can set up. And that could be kind of fun to play with. Right. It's a bit tricky getting in at some of these legs. Yeah, I mean, you know, like I say, we could put like little snippets of. I mean, you can use it for anything really. It's just the idea is to put it as quotes. So we could put excerpts in from, you know, different articles, or I think there's a character limit, but we can have a look at that. Because it might be a good way of giving people some random tidbits of information. Got a delivery today. 2 rare chameleons my wife bought me for my birthday. Wow. That's quite the birthday present. A pair of chameleons. I'm guessing you asked for spiders. She went, nope. That's a good question, I zombie you. Are they sociable? Oh, have you got 2 for breeding purposes? I would ask what the exchange rate in miniatures is for a chameleon, but I don't have space for one, so... So while we're talking about the breeding of rare and unusual critters, MMK, is it possible for these tempest critters to reproduce? Or do they just go on a mad rampage of murdering rather than being interested in other activities? Because that could get scary. Collects first editions of comic books, but is on the fence about the latest generation of Marvel and DC movies. More Judge Dredd movies. Bring us more Carl Urban as Dredd. Thank you very much for the follow, Rerun. And welcome to the stream. How are you this fine weekend, and what are you up to? Yes. We may have lost iZombie to daydreaming of Dread. Murder rampage is a lava beetle's favourite phrase. Nothing is sexier than hearing another lava beetle whisper murder rampage. That does sound about what I was expecting. That's their equivalent of pillow talk. Murder rampage. He was amazing as Dredd. Thank you for the follow, Elspeth. Right, we've laid down the base coat of brown. I've missed a little bit on the inside of that foot that I made. Okay. I added feet. I was going for hooves and they ended up a little more like cat paws. So this beetle's got cat paws. Right, there we go. So because we've added in the brown on the underside, it's made the shift paint stand out more. It'll stand out even more when we paint the base. Cat paws make it a better hugger. Yes. It gives you a really soft, cuddly snuggle while it whispers murder rampage in your ear. I don't know. We'll have to ask MMK whether it's John, Paul, George or Ringo. Were any of them energetic enough to be on a murder rampage, though? That's the real question. And yes, happy 4th of July to American friends. Congratulations on your, is it 244 years? I believe someone told me earlier. Since you got away from the crown. Lucky you, maybe. Rowdy in the colonies, yeah. Given the spine spiritually closest to the drummer. Ah, so Ringo was the drummer, was it? Have I got that right? I'm not very clued up on the Beatles. So we're just base coating the base. Just to take some of the shift off so we get more of the carapace look going on. Sid Vicious. Well, I think once I start adding in the lava effects on the tips, they'll start looking more and more punk. So, you can take your pick at that point. I do also have some good news. I did manage to get my sound sorted out this week, for the most part. So apparently my setup decided to change some settings on me and was using 2 microphones, which were competing with each other, which is never very helpful. This guy's a little bit tricky to paint because he came pre-attached to the base. Although something extra specially hardcore about a drummer that snaps off a couple of his own spines to lay down the beats. Or her, yes, it could be female. Who knows? That is true. Unless they're farmers, in which case they lay down the beats instead. Yes. Making me say your bad puns on stream. Okay. Yes, definitely going to be laying down the heat. We'll start adding some lava effects on the spines when I've done with the base. I'll start lightening the ends. But it does make the Beetle stand out more by painting the base. Like I say, it's a little tricky to get in at. Sculpting it was a bum. I'm not a very good sculptor, so it took quite a lot of work. Ah, took down a couple in Southeast Asia. Balefire Forge, thank you very much for the raid, and welcome everyone that's come in with Balefire. How are you doing? And did you have a good stream? We are working today on a miniature for... That's good. Good stuff. We're working on a miniature today for Savage Mojo's Suzerain setting. So I took a giant rhino beetle from Reaper Minis, and I've massively modified it. I say massively. I pretty largely modified it. I chopped its face off and gave it all these spines on the back to make it match the artwork as best I could. Well, I appreciate it, Balefire. But yeah, we're painting up this guy to represent a miniature from the Suzerain role-playing game. If you want any information about Suzerain, if you do exclamation Suzerain in the chat, it will come up with all the links for you to discover Savage Mojo's role-playing setting. And it's... Fair enough, Balefire. You go take care of yourself and your family. That's definitely what's important. Or apparently Streamlabs is going to do it automatically and give you the links anyway. Hey Dave, how you doing? Yes, yeah, we are painting up a lava beetle. Last week we did a hero. And we're going to see if we can get this guy done in this stream. However, because he's quite a bit bigger, we might not. And lava effects aren't going to be quick. We'll see. Yeah. Nice and chill. Yeah, I updated the links for Suzerain and added in a few extras. So you have your choice of access. Too old for excitement. Stay at home and plot how to murder the party with lava beetles. Or not get murdered by lava beetles if you are in the party. I didn't say accents, I said access. I just can't speak very well. It's clearly my British accent is spoiling things. It's not on my brain. Okay. Trying to get behind this foot and the foot's kind of just getting in the way. Okay, nearly there. I'm trying to break the spines while I'm at it. And get in there as well. I'm kind of just having to stab the brush in. Just carry a lot of water with you to put out the lava beetles. It'd have to be a lot of water for these guys, I think. I mean, have you seen the art? Okay. Let's get out some white and start lightening up the spine tips. Mine's possibly a bit I mean, definitely not as bad as iZombies, but I'm from South Yorkshire originally, but I've lived in East Midlands for the last 15, 16 years. Maybe not quite that much. 15, I think. So I've picked up some accent from there as well. Ah, North Yorkshire. I'm a South Yorkshire lass originally. I have moments where it comes through quite strongly. My little boy does too. Because he's heard Mum doing it. But he's also been watching Dragon Prince, so occasionally he drops into like a little Scottish lilt, which is quite funny. You've never heard iZombie's accent. Ah, Leeds Sheffield. Okay. Wait. That doesn't make any sense. Leeds Bradford? Because Leeds and Sheffield aren't that close to each other. That does make sense, Dave. Or is that Leeds and Sheffield? Because Sheffield's South Yorkshire. Leeds Bradford is North Yorkshire. And they're so close to each other. They're Leeds is West Yorkshire. I know it's not South Yorkshire. That's about as much as I know. I'm terrible at geography, to be honest. I mean, I'm not in some ways, but mostly, unless I'm bothered about what region it's in or whatever like that, I'm not interested. I have no need to commit that to memory. Right. Okay. I'm gonna make the longer ones. We'll bring it down a bit more. So that way we've got more room for a transition. Like this. On this side as well. But yeah, I'm actually not sure what's in North Yorkshire. Specifically. The Yorkshire Dales. The Yorkshire Dales are up that way. Is... No patience for it, yeah. It does require some patience. I find it quite relaxing. I enjoy the process. It works for me. Yeah, up near the Yorkshire Dales. I mean, that's pretty much all that I can remember from North Yorkshire is Yorkshire Dales. The fact that they're always misty. Yes, very cathartic. I'm mostly just, I'm applying white to these areas so that I can highlight them up with bright colours like red and yellow, because those colours do not cover over Turbo Dork very well. Certainly not dark Turbo Dorks. And for reference, Turbo Dork is the brand of paint. It's just a brand name. But they specialise in metallics. Which are quite shiny paints. Right. We'll also get the tips of these really big horns at the front. We'll give these plenty of lava, I think. Make them look really threatening. Why would I use yellow Turbo Dorks? I mean, yellow Turbo Dorks are not going to get me the dark colour shift carapace that I wanted. So, let's have a look. I don't have any yellow, but I could use Metal Plus in with some yellow to get a nice metallic if I wanted. Cheaper and easier than buying loads more Turbo Dorks. Okay. I do need to do the ones on the head. So by adding in the white on the tips, I've also made it easier to see the spines. Because that's one downside with colour shift paints. Some of the details can kind of get lost in the shift. It sounds like a sci-fi movie statement, that. I don't know, that could... Actually, that sounds like something that could work for Suzerain. Something could get lost in the shift from one world to another. But yeah, we can actually see the spines now. That's good. But yeah, I am also doing a bonus stream tomorrow. Telling you now before everybody falls asleep watching paint dry. I'm doing a bonus watch paint dry stream tomorrow. Because I am painting up some Fragging Unicorns minis. So, do come along to that if you can. But obviously there's... that is literally a one-off. Whereas this one's every week. I think we might take advantage of some of these little spines on his legs and put some lava detail on those as well. I think that'll look quite cool. So we're going to get in there as well. So we'll coat them with white. Get that one. Might have to get in there with a smaller brush. There we go. We'll leave the really little ones. Get around the other side. We've got one here. But yeah, I think that'll be a pretty groovy effect if we do that. They don't have to be even. This is a creature corrupted by the Tempest. And as a corrupted creature, I can't imagine its spines would adjust evenly. So there we go. We'll get a smaller brush and get in a couple on this back leg here. So we'll get that one. And that's a fairly big one there, so we can get that one as well. Yes, Tempest Corruption might be responsible for the spines. That would probably make some sense. And there was one other thing that I was going to do. Because he has it, I'm going to paint this up with some good lava effects. So we're going to get some white in there. Because this will provide us with a really nice flow of that yellow through to red fiery effect, because it's a good band of area. Seems like the sort of thing academic characters would point out while various party members are bleeding away merrily. Yes, possibly while taking sketches and making notes at the back of the group. Although now that you've said that, I'm starting to think that Entraptor would make an amazing Suzerain character. Being dragged away from every fight, going, fascinating. Hello, Kit. You haven't missed too much. I have been putting some base coats on this guy. It is a lava beetle that I have spent half the week modifying. Yes, Entraptor is just amazing in all things. But she would make an hilarious Suzerain character. I don't think she'd last very long. Possibly the rest of the party wouldn't. I'm sure that there's... I'm sure that she could have something that would make her luckier, so more likely to survive. Look at the plumage. You can see how it uses them to catch a mate. Gurgle, gurgle, gurgle. Now you've made me want to paint up a terror bird. We do have a terror bird miniature, actually. That could work quite well as another Tempest beast, because it could have started life as an ostrich or an emu. Or, you know, as a terror bird. It's Suzerain, anything's possible, right? That could work. I think we have a terror bird around. But I'm hoping to get this guy finished this week, and then next week we can do another character mini. I do have a couple of options. Impales its... Fish face. Impales its prey on thorns, and you data that. It was a prickly encounter, was it, fish face? You see, that's Titan A zealous. I bought it in my sleep. I don't know what it does, but it has a button on it. Should I press the button? Thank you very much for the follow, Zealous. Right, let's start building up some colours on this. So we'll start, I'm going to work my way down the spines. So I'm going to start with some pure yellow. We can add the white on the tips back in at the end, where it's really hot, but I don't think it's that hot on the picture. Chaos infests your soul. Oh. Hold on. I gotta try and get the cap back on. There we go. Right. So we're gonna go around and we're gonna cover all these in yellow. And then we'll start building up some orange and some red down the spines. You'll be able to see the effect that creates. But it's easier to layer the orange and reds over the yellow than it is the other way around. So that's why we're doing it this way. Is it a firebug? No, then it's not hot. Burning. Then it will be hot. It is actually a firebug. I'm sorry. Well, actually, it's a lava bug, so it's even hotter than fire. I'm sorry to disappoint you, Zealous, but burning it's not going to help. What do you think this is? Starship Troopers? Okay. Get in there a bit more as well. We've missed that a little bit. So I've got to make sure I go all the way around all the spines. Me and my old school references. Confusing people, probably. I'm not even that old. I don't think that movie's older than me, but I think I was too young to watch it when it was released. I'm not really into 40k. I'm not familiar with a lot of the lore of that, so... To defeat the bug, we must first understand the bug. Yes. See, that's why you need Entraptor. Wait, there's more? I don't think I've seen the others. Whenever I've put that movie on, I've always previously forgotten, before putting it on, that it's like 3.5 hours long. I always think that it's like an hour and a half movie. Yes, I zombie you. +1 internet point. Okay. We're getting there. We've got some yellow. It's looking intimidating. Well, it's looking mostly yellow, but that's not the point. So, but still building up the colour in layers. Let's get the big horns as well. So I didn't do perfect coverage with the white, but that doesn't matter. It just needed something to work from so it looks less green when you apply the yellow. So if I take this down a little bit more here, you can see where I've gone over the turbo dork that it looks a little green. Radioactive, yes. seen others and you didn't die. That's good. I do love that the brain bug had a straw. That was cool. And comical at the same time. I need a little more yellow because I've actually run out. But yeah, particularly as it's dried, it looks a little green where it's gone over the turbo dork. So that's why we painted them white first, because the yellow is much richer. Okay. So I'm going to go over this in the yellow as well. A little bit on these, like this leg here. There we go. Right, so we've got the yellow done. Up next we have some orange. I'm actually going to go down to a smaller brush. Service guarantees citizenship, yes. We will do another coat of the brown underneath, but mostly we just wanted to lay down an initial base coat to help distinguish the carapace while we work on this. But that wants shading and highlighting and stuff like that. Okay. So I'm not going all the way up the spine. Oh, I might need a better orange than this. I'm not sure this one's going very good. This is going to take too many coats. I might need the other orange. There we go. Yeah, I might need the other orange. This one's not very good. It's going to take a lot of layers to coat. So we'll switch out to a different orange. That's not a problem, but it's not like I don't have others. So I was using this one, the Game Air, but it's not covering very well. It'll probably be fine if I airbrushed it, but some of them are really good with the brush as well, but some of them are a bit like that. They don't cover great. So I'm going to use the AK Interactive one instead. This is a really good orange. We'll turn down the exposure a little bit. There we go. Have it a little less bright so you can actually see the orange. Thank you very much. 86% compact effective, yes. That's alright, you can keep going with those though, Hunter. I'm totally fine with that. We'll add a little more, and then we'll thin it slightly, not too much. Yes, this was a Reaper Mini giant rhino beetle that I've modified for my Suzerain weekend paint. I do also have a couple of minis almost ready for next weekend. I'm actually prepared. Woo! Alright, we'll use this one because I know that this one has good coverage. I mean, look at that. Big difference. Really big difference in the coverage. don't mind the Vallejo paints. They are quite nice. But these AKs have better coverage. This is a third generation AK paint. Get around there. We might have to take the red all the way down and maybe put a bit of the yellow back in on the smallest tips. So when I did this, I was initially going to put even spines all around, but some of my pins that I'd put in for building the spines onto came out. And I decided to leave it and make it a little more random along the back. So you can see there are actually gaps. It's like here, there's a gap here and here. Where there should have been spines, but they haven't grown in. Adds to the charm. It's a feature, not a bug. Yep, you're not at work. You're still allowed to do programming gags, that's fine. So I'm layering at present and I'm mapping out where I want these to go in, and then we will glaze to blend them. Most because it's acrylic, so. It was a bug, now it's a feature. Sounds like talking about certain staff members sometimes. For people's jobs. Maybe he's still young. A lava bug, yes. A lava. Entirely possible that he's still young. Although if this is a youngster lava beetle, you do not want to encounter an adult one, I don't think. They'll grow in. It's also possible that, you know, they're like porcupine spines, and they were there and they're actually just embedded in some poor adventurer somewhere, and they'll grow back. Well, you know, some poor adventurer's corpse. Well, when I sculpted this guy, the extra features on this guy, I was trying to give him hooves, but they came out like cat paws, so apparently he's a really good hugger. So you could maybe love it to death. That's assuming it doesn't hug you to death in the meantime. That could happen. But I did put quite a lot of spines on this chap. Maybe too many. I don't know. Maybe not. Okay. Chaos approves. Yep. Well, this is, I mean, I'm not sure that all Tempest critters are going to end up spiny. But I don't know, maybe they do. That'd be quite comical. Look at the big horns. Like that. I thought Herbie was the love bug. Is that his name then? Herbie? Maybe that's the beetle's name. Lava bug called Herbie. I mean, it is nice when they get fun names. Okay, so I'm not going to try and do the leg spines. We'll just use some red and blend that in. Okay. Oh, that's not gone very well. Try and take that out. Okay. So we'll bring that up there. So I'm trying to add in a little bit of orange and leave some of the yellow behind on this central band. We're actually inverting the heat on this bit. We're going to keep the yellow in the recesses if we can. It doesn't mean that I need to go back in with the yellow there. Like that. Just add in a bit more like so. I apologise if I occasionally go quiet. I'm trying to keep an eye on my snake. She decided to lay a couple of eggs today. Less radioactive. It is a grey rat snake. You want to talk to somebody about snakes, Mechanicus is your person to talk to about snakes. If Mechanicus is still around, not too busy. Apparently Mechanicus works at Cheshire Zoo, Chester Zoo, even not Cheshire, Chester Zoo in the reptile house. So, yeah. And might have a few snakes. At home. And some spiders. Which apparently the wife does not necessarily entirely approve of, if I recall correctly. Another UK person. All of the UK people. It's almost like I'm a British streamer, isn't it? I am English, yes. Born and raised in South Yorkshire. It's a good question, iZombie. Is the abundance of Britishness frightening? Or just, you know, one of us? One of us. Apparently I didn't get all the way down the body at the underside, so I'll try and get in there as well. Scotland! Scottish! Ah, Scottish. I love the Scottish accent. The Scottish elves are my favourite thing about the Dragon Prince. The Moonshadow elves. They're apparently all Scottish. A vocal chameleon. Fair enough. But you're surrounded by the Scottish accent. Maybe. Unless you found the one area of Scotland where nobody's actually Scottish. That one little village where they go, no, I'm sorry, you're Scottish, you're not allowed to move in here. I have never been to Scotland, and I don't know anybody up there. Not personally. I mean, obviously, you're up there, Zealous Hunter. Not that I know you that well, but, you know, you're in my chat. It almost counts. Twin Atlantic. Fair enough. Right. We'll add in some pure red on the... Hello, Deck Knight! How you doing? We'll add some pure red in on the spines. I think we might use the Game Air orange for glazing. Oh, I haven't finished adding orange to the spines. I didn't add orange to the spines on the head. We're painting a lava bug today, Deck Knight. Lava bug. Yes, the collection of disco bugs is growing. I may have painted up a Hook Horror. Sorry, Reaper's Gloomstalker as a disco bug. I put some crazy bright colours on that. Thank you. It took a little while to do. Yeah, this was their rhino beetle. I imagine you probably recognise it, Deck Knight, but yeah, their rhino beetle got mutilated. Typical painting streamer, does all the work and then move on to something else. Yes, yes. I mean, yeah, it doesn't matter whether you're streaming or not, you still do it when you're painting minis. Right, I'm done. Oh, no, I'm not. But yeah, this was the last disco bug that I did. Disco bug. This was my Gloomstalker that I painted up in crazy metallics. for the giggles, mostly. But he came out pretty good. So yeah, my collection of disco bugs is growing. Disco bugs. They might have a party afterwards. Right. Getting distracted by disco bugs. I've forgotten what I was going to work on next as well. Oh, red. I was going to add red. I'm here painting the underside, and I'm just going to add red to the spines. And it's right here as well, next to me. Right. So, some pure red. I do also have a deep red, so we can blend it into the carapace a little better, because this won't blend into the carapace very well. It's very bright. I'll start with the big horns this time, so you'll get a good look. As you can see, it's quite a bright red. So it doesn't blend into the carapace very well. Take it up a little bit higher. We are starting to get that transition. It's not very smooth yet because we haven't blended, but we are getting the transition even as we're laying in the layers, the base layers. Drop the exposure one more. There we go. I've gone too high there. Hold on. I can quickly wipe it off, that's not a problem. But I was totally... never mind. Okay. Like that. The smallest spines, like this, I'm just going to have to sort of go around them. With the red. Pretty much like I did with the orange. They're too small to brush down. So we can get that anyway. There we go. A little bit more. But yeah, we are definitely getting a transition. It does take a little time to get that blending down. But yeah, these guys have some cool story to them, the lava beetles in Suzerain. MMK was telling us that once upon a time this critter was probably a regular beetle. And it was corrupted by an elemental called the Tempest. And in this case I would guess an elemental of fire, since it became a lava beetle. And they are, much to Zealot Hunter's approval, I'm sure, very chaotic and destructive beings. I believe that they are infesting the Suzerain universe from somewhere. But yeah, if you like Savage Worlds, Suzerain uses Savage Worlds predominantly. So you could check out the system. It might be your cup of tea. It might not. But you won't know unless you have a look. There's plenty of information as well. If you want to know, it's !Suzerain for the links to come up. Streamlabs does occasionally drop it in the chat. I think we also have a couple of players in chat as well, though I'm sure they'd be happy to answer any questions. About the setting and probably the gameplay as well. It is not my area of expertise. I am largely here to paint miniatures. I know a bit about it. I definitely need to investigate it more, because it sounds up my street as well. It's kind of my interest. I just haven't got round to it. So many things. Especially the painting. It's kind of getting in the way of things and whatnot. Plenty of opportunity to learn new rules at present though. Yeah, I might see if I can have a look at it. Maybe see if I can get into a game of it myself. And get myself more familiar with Suzerain. It's a little difficult to get around these ones on the head because they're quite small. There we go. Okay. So I'm just roughly running a little bit of red off these ones onto the leg, like that, because that'll provide me with the transition that I need. There's not enough room on the leg spines for the orange as well. For reasons I've been thinking about shifting back to Savage Worlds, such a strong system, but still so many shiny new things to explore. Yes. Well, I would be up for it if you wanted to shift to Savage Worlds. I still want you to run some low life for me. But I'm sure I can find someone who will run some Suzerain for me. Get some red in down there as well. Get some red in there. Right, let's not forget the red in here. So that's too much. So I've actually rubbed most of the paint off my brush, and I'm going for a fairly light coat of the red. Right. Wash off my brush, and I'm going to go in and rough it up around the edges. So I'm feathering the edges. Hopefully before it dries, because this stuff dries pretty quick, the paint that I'm using. There we go. Run everything all at once. Might struggle with that. Okay. Final round of colours on the spines is going to be the deep red. I'm not adding any to this. We'll add more of the pure red to this in a few. But I want to make sure that that's dried first, because we don't want to risk tearing the previous colour, the previous coat. So we'll add some deep red because it will help transition it into the carapace. So we'll go here. We'll try and feather it this time as well. There we go. So what that's done is blended the edge a little bit more. I can do that on the big ones. Pretty much switch entirely to GMing. Ah. Yes. Yeah, I've never run Savage Worlds. The only system I've run a couple of systems, but I always find myself going back to D&D because it's what I'm most familiar with. And you know, familiarity makes it easy, even though it's a really pain in the ass to prep. But it's what I became most familiar with while running games and playing games. But I have wanted to do more Savage Worlds. I've done a few games of Savage Worlds that my husband ran, so I've played it, just not much. And I've wanted to explore that a bit more. And thank you for the compliment. He is looking a little more fiery, which is pretty good. I think on the longest spines we'll add that white hot tip. Okay. Yes, it is way easier in D&D land, you're right. It is most people's go-to, that's the thing. Despite the fact there's systems out there that are really good and probably a lot better. Yes. Yeah. Fantasy Grounds and Roll20 definitely make it easier, especially right now. It means that role-playing is still accessible. Kind of glad that the technology was already there. You know, it's already had plenty of play testing of that and whatnot, so... Yeah, scheduling's a problem. You're not wrong. People have always been bad for scheduling. Ah, it's supposed to be running Slipstream. That's a real shame. I'm sorry that your player's cancelled. And I'm sorry that you've ended up having to watch paint dry. It's not too bad as background stuff. I don't think you'd want to watch intently as I paint a miniature, but it's not too bad for background stuff. I think we have quite a few lurkers around. Yeah, not exactly expected. I'm not surprised, but, you know, given the fact that people knew the holiday was coming, you'd have thought they could have given you a bit more notice as well. That's the thing that kind of gets me sometimes. I don't do very well with people making plans on top of other plans. Okay, so the dark red that I've added in at the bottoms, particularly these big spines, has started to smooth it into the carapace. So it's made them look more larva-y than just they've got a bit of red and yellow on the tips. So compared to the ones that I haven't added it. So like, this one's quite sudden, whereas these bigger ones are a much smoother transition. Yeah, I mean, I quite like D&D. It can be, 5th edition's not as tiresome to prep. I mean, it can be. I think part of the problem is I've never had the confidence to run something that I've written, so I tend to run pre-written stuff. And a lot of the pre-written stuff for D&D is not very good, frankly. So I've kind of been looking at other systems that I might feel more comfortable prepping and running my own stuff in. And like I say, I've played a few games of Savage World stuff. My husband ran, iZombie ran, I can't even remember what he called it. It was the zombie apocalypse game that you ran, iZombie. That was fun. That's the most Savage Worlds I've played. We played a few sessions of that. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, it depends on who you have as players and who you have as GM as well. Because, like, some systems are terrible depending on the GM. Not necessarily because they're a bad GM per se, but because they're very rules-oriented or, you know, I'm very much the advocate of if it's fun, it's allowed, whether it's in the rules or not. Rule of cool, as it were, I believe is the expression people use. That's my take on things. If it's fun, then it doesn't matter if it's right, as far as, you know, somebody's written their rules. On the old Star Wars D6 game. Ah, yes. Yeah. There are a couple of things like there's a couple of systems that I've had a crack at running, and they're kind of like episodic. It's like a TV series, so they're very episodic. Episodic. I don't know whether it's that which pronunciation. I think both are technically correct, but yeah. So I'm going to add a little of the dark red around these ones as well. We still need to do the head, but we'll get in at the legs first. Yes, slow and plodding, definitely. I think it's because a lot of D&D games campaigns are written for getting through, I don't know, 10 to 15 levels usually. But it's like that's a lot of game time if you're doing it based off experience, like the system is built. So yeah, it becomes quite the marathon game at that point, doesn't it? Yes, definitely cut out the boring bits. Yeah, you don't need a shopping montage. I mean, you know, as a montage it's not too bad, but you definitely don't want a whole session of shopping. But you'll get players that do that. One in three rules being either great or awful. Sounds like balance was an issue. So I'll feather that out before it dries. It's already starting to dry. That's a little awkward. I should add a little bit more in there. Yeah, so the paints I'm using dry incredibly quickly, so I have to be fast for feathering and blending. They're great because they dry fast, but they're also awkward because they dry fast. I can't win. Blend down a little bit like that. So because I've got a bit of room to work with, I can go a little bit lower and bring the blending down. Yes, yeah. I don't mind the ones where it's like random sort of hint drops, as it were. Here's a bunch of random stuff you could drop into your thing that drops hints to the story arc and things like that. That's not as bad. But when it is pretty much just to gain XP. Ain't nobody else. How else am I going to buy a well? You don't have enough experience for a well fish face. Okay. I'm just going to quickly add in some more red in here. So we're brushing it in, blending it a little bit, feathering it out, so we have a smoother transition around it. There we go. It's just sunk in there now, that's annoying. So we can get it out of there. Might have to just sink some yellow in. like that. There we go. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to be off camera. There we go. We're looking quite lavary now. That's pretty good. So let's add a little bit of white to the tips of these really long ones here. You won't be able to tell much, but it will be there. It just adds that little extra brightness. Makes them look a bit hotter than the other spines. There we go. Fearsome Beetle. Yeah, he's looking quite intimidating. Okay, so I am going to take some of the orange that I had earlier and just gently glaze that over the bigger spines, because it is actually glazed consistency, which makes it a bum for layering, but it's great for this. So, but this will smooth out the colour on the spines. Yes. Yeah, definitely. You know, or come up with a better reason for the encounters. You know, if you want to do more encounters, come up with reasons for them that make sense. So I'm adding an orange glaze, which is gently smoothing out the transitions on the spines. Yes. Well, iZombie was against systems that level. The sorts of character development systems are more to his taste. What, just give levels? I mean, you could just play systems that don't have character levels. We're not playing computer games. I mean, I've definitely seen stuff where it's like, by the time they reach this bit, they should be this level, but it's like... I know that they're going, a lot of their modules are going away from the give XP and more milestone levels, which makes more sense. You gain levels for achieving stuff rather than just, you know, counting experience points. Yeah. Okay, we're nearly there on this guy's horns and his spines. So I'll add a bit in here, brighten up down here a little bit. Now this is a glaze, so it's only providing a very thin coat. It's just smoothing out what we've got. Hey Agent Meeple and chat. Hello Majors. It is nice to see you. Oh, thank you very much for the host. How are you doing? And have you been tormenting Grendler lately? Last time you guys seem to have a lot of banter going on. We're going lava themed today, Majors. It's going fairly well, I think, as well. I'm going to glaze over this section with our orange as well, so it'll help smooth it out. There we go. Right, so we can start adding in more brown. We'll lighten up the base some more as well. Doing good. Had a great week. Got a job. Temporary until the end of the year, sadly. Working evening shifts, so hasn't been in Grendler's stream. Okay, fair enough. Well, hey, at least you've got a job. You know, it's easier to get a job when you've got a job, isn't it? So, and at least if you've got a deadline, you can start looking before then. So, yeah, definitely temporary is better than no job. But yeah, having a deadline does help you with being able to look for work, you know, as you come up to your deadline as well. Okay, so we'll put some more brown in on the underside now. Trying to keep an eye on the time as well. Partly to see how quickly I can get this guy done. We're getting along with him quite nicely. We're going to put a dark wash in on the underside. Pick out the details under there. Well, I'm really... okay. Well, that's good. I mean, I'm really glad for you, Majors. I'm really pleased for you. And I hope things pan out and that you don't end up struggling. But yeah, you kind of got to take what you can get, haven't you, as well? Yeah. Has its downsides, but I suppose it also has benefits like that, which is nice. Alright.